Chapter 12, Promoting Safety and Health, created by Rayanne Castile. I hope you enjoy. OSHA's coverage. OSHA covers public and private employees. It's covered in the state and local governments. Federal agencies are required to establish and maintain a safety and health program, and it must be monitored by OSHA. OSHA's standards. These standards cover the workplace machinery and equipment, power sources, processing, protective clothing, first aid, and administrative requirements. Employers need to become familiar with those standards that are applicable to their establishments. And the main thing about OSHA, it is the law. Enforcing OSHA standards, authorized to conduct workplace inspections, issue citations, and impose penalties on employers. I included a picture of an OSHA inspector doing an inspection. They come in and they actually inspect everything from top to bottom. Workplace inspections. Once presented, appropriate credentials to the owner, operator, or agent in charge, an OSHA compliance officer is authorized to come in and inspect. There are 4 levels to an inspection. OSHA inspectors come in and they come in unannounced. You also have the citations and penalties. The citations may be given immediately after an inspection or later on by mail. They explain what regulations or standards were violated, and then you have 3 penalties, and they range from other than serious, serious, and willful. And the 4 levels to the workplace inspections, those are the first level, inspection of imminent danger situations, second level, investigation of catastrophes, fatalities, and accidents that result in hospitalization or 5 or more employees, third level, investigation of valid employee complaints or alleged violation of standards or of unsafe or unhealthy working conditions. And the 4th level is special emphasis inspections aimed at specific high hazardous industries, occupations, or substances that are injury to health. Then you had the other than serious. Those violations run from $100 to $7,000 for each violation depending upon the circumstances. Serious is from $3,000 to $4,000. The maximum is $7,000 for each violation. The willful is an employer intentionally or knowingly commits a violation that the employer commits with plain indifference to the law, and those go from $70,000 to $75,000 per exposed employee for a willful penalty. On-site consultation. OSHA provides free on-site consultation services. OSHA consultation assistance. Then you have cooperative programs. There are 4 specific cooperative programs. You have alliances, strategic partnership programs, also known as SPPs, voluntary protection programs, also known as VPPs, and safety and health achievement recognition programs, also known as SHARP. Employers must inform all of their employees about the safety and health requirements of OSHA. Employers are also required to keep record of all related injuries and sicknesses. This is compiled an insidious rate. The following equation is how it is all calculated and kept in record. Everything that happens on the job as far as an injury or sickness, it must be recorded, and that's the responsibility and rights under OSHA. The right to know law. Many employers have to work with chemicals, and it is the right to know law that the employees know what chemicals they have to handle. Then you also have OSHA's enforcement record. These records are where unions and safety groups continue to worry that OSHA is lax in monitoring its agreements with organizations. These groups would prefer mandatory standards instead of voluntary guidelines for problems such as injuries related to jobs involving repetitive motion, a topic to be considered. OSHA standards are unrealistic and inspectors are overzealous. And that is the employee's responsibilities and rights to know. Then you have promoting a safe work environment. Typically, a firm's HR department or the industrial relations department is responsible for a safety program. The HR department typically coordinates the safety communication and training programs, maintains safety records required by OSHA. One major responsibility as a supervisor is to communicate to an employee the need to work safely. And these are the key roles of the supervisor. Safety should be emphasized continually from day one. They should be coached to look for safety problems before they occur and know how to handle them. And supervisors must continually observe employees at work, reinforce safe practices, and immediately correct behaviors that are unsafe or that cause harm to themselves or others. Then you have proactive safety training programs. Safety is legally required, and jobs will tell you safety starts with you. If you see anything that is unsafe or that could hurt you or someone else, it is best that you report it immediately to the closest supervisor, manager, superintendent, whoever you see that you can report it to. Enforcing safety rules, you don't want anyone to get hurt, so you want to enforce these rules as much as possible. They should have signs up on walls, on billboards, on poster boards, wherever throughout a plant or organization. Some give handbooks, some give OSHA flashcards, kind of, but it's just to enforce the rules of safety because safety does matter. You have safety hazards and issues. These issues are fatigue, distracted driving, workplace violence, workplace emergencies. Those workplace emergencies are like floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, gas leaks, anything in that nature. Crisis management teams, they're always on the job, and they also run through the HR department. Then you have health hazards and issues, things that people really need to pay attention and be mindful of. You have cumulative trauma disorders. These are injuries involving tendons of the fingers, hands, and arms that become inflamed from repeated stresses and strains, and these are health hazards and issues. You have the computer workstation issues, visual difficulties, muscular aches and pains, and job stress. But the cumulative trauma disorders, I can use my job, Sanderson Forms, as an example because it's always repetitive motions and it causes a lot of strain on your hands. Some ways to help with computer workstation issues to minimize it is get a chair that adjusts to height. Keep the screen right in front of you, eye level. Have blinds up so the glare from outside lighting. Also, you want to keep your elbows right where the screen is lined up. Keep the screen about 9 inches away from your eyes. Then we have chemical hazards, smoking and tobacco smoke. Chemical hazards, they should have, for smoking and tobacco smoke, there should be some signs posted. Some workplaces allow smoking, so it'll be certain areas where they are allowed to smoke, and then you have other areas where it's off limits to smoke. Then you have the chemical hazards. There's more than 55,000 illnesses related to chemical exposures each year. Then you have material safety data sheets. Those are documents that contain vital information about hazardous substances. Then you have bloodborne pathogens. You want to keep these down as much as possible. Wear the proper protective clothing. Pathogens are primary concerns of HIV, HBV, which is hepatitis B virus, and you have hepatitis C, which is the HCV. Workers can be exposed to blood through needle sticks and other sharp injuries, mucous membranes, and skin exposures. To reduce that, you really want to keep protective equipment, train them to handle the blood and bodily fluids, and properly disinfect equipment and dispose of waste materials. Employers must also make available to their employees any vaccines that could prevent a worker from becoming infected. You have building better physical and emotional health among employees, wellness and weight issues, job stress and burnout, that's me, depression, alcoholism, and drug abuse. These are major factors that causes issues in workplaces every day. And this ends my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I use Bing.com for my images, and I use my textbook for information, and I also use Google for some of my information, especially on the bloodborne pathogens and on my um, Department of Transportation, the Drug-Free Workplace Act of 1988 for drug abuse, and the DoD, which is Department of Defense, and those were all related to the drug abuse part.